Good morning, Hank.
It's Tuesday. So, Looking for Alaska. This book was amazing.
I agree. But the real question is all the language and explicit content necessary or not?
Yes, I believe it was.
And I agree. That one scene in the book. Let's get there, shall we?
Page 126.
Ooh, yeah, that's where the first one is. As John Green says, and I quote, "It is awkward, unfun, disastrous, and wholly unerotic." And the whole reason that scene's in there is to talk about the next scene that's in there, which is on page 131.
Let's flip there, shall we?
And there's one quote that we both agree is very important. "We didn't have sex. We never got naked. I never touched her bare breast, and her hands never got lower than my hips. It didn't matter. As she slept, I whispered, 'I love you, Alaska Young.'"
These scenes are very important. Without these scenes, the book would have much less of a meaning. Now, there are people who say that teenagers like ourselves shouldn't be reading these kinds of books, and John Green says people tend to think that teenagers are not sophisticated enough to read this and understand it. Well, John Green says it best.
Shut up and stop condescending to teenagers.
And he's right.
Just because a teenager might be younger than an adult and is unable to comprehend some things as much of an adult doesn't mean they can't understand and have a takeaway from a book such as Looking for Alaska.
Now, one of the biggest debates in our class has been what parents or adults think about this book. But you have to remember that in order for a book to actually get to where people can read it, you have to have people that write it, people that edit it, people that review it, and people that publish it. And all of those people said that it is a better book when it's not censored.
John Green also says, "I have to give full credit to my editor, Julie Strauss-Gable. She was absolutely steadfast about refusing to censor the novel, even when I wasn't." And that shows you that even though John Green is very passionate about not censoring the book, that he still had his doubts. But the people that edited it, that sponsored the book, literally have their name in the book that could totally ruin their entire career.
Nobody wants to do something that will tarnish their name and get them a bad reputation. But the publishers of this book thought differently. They thought that this book was a good book, and it is a good book.
And that was even in 2005. It's 2016. Really? And then our next topic at hand.
Throughout the book, it portrays Alaska and Pudge's relationship to be a very strong one. They can tell each other everything. Ever since they met, that's all they do is they go to each other for everything, and no matter what happens, that they'll always be best friends.
But besides that, they're friends, and it shows the raw emotion between friends. You can't go and hang out by yourself alone in the world. You have to have people with you. That's why there are other people on Earth. There's not just one person. But with friends with Alaska Young, you have people that will smoke. You have people that will drink. You see those every day in high school. It's not like we're not exposed to that. But that doesn't mean we read in a novel "Oh, I'm going to go smoke under a bridge." No. We really aren't. With the language in the book, personally, I don't agree with it. I don't like the language, and I don't like some of the things they do. But it doesn't mean I don't think it's necessary for the book. I think it's 100% you have to have it in there, because it makes the book numb without it. It makes it unrealistic, and John Green wanted it to be a realistic novel that teenagers could turn to and look at for just life. And we use books to escape real life every day. He wants a book that can teach them how to live, how to seek the great perhaps, escape their labyrinth.
John Green talked about in one of his vlogs how this book was like a representation of his life. And that goes to show that life really is like that, and that's why this book is relatable. And it's meant to be relatable to people our age. And putting things like this in here are just what make it more relatable to our lives. Like, for instance, everything that happens, like with the car crash that Alaska was in, that happens every day. And there's nothing we can do about it. It's a split-second thing that happens.
And with a turn of a page, it can change an entire school's lives. But also, with the great perhaps, there's one quote that I would like to share with you. It's on page 5 in the novel. So this guy, I said, standing in the doorway of the living room, Francis Rabelais. He was this poet, and his last words, I go to seek a great perhaps. That's why I'm going, so I don't have to wait until I die to start seeking a great perhaps. And I think that's so important. Like, you can't just stand around talking about what you want to do. And Alaska says that later in the novel. She's not going to stand around and wait to do what she wants to do. She's going to go out and do it, because action speaks louder than words every day.
John Green has said that looking for Alaska, and I quote, is arguing against vapid physical interactions, not for them. And isn't that what we're arguing here? Isn't that the point of this project? Isn't that the point of us reading this book? Because everything that we have talked about with the in-class discussions so far have been about what this book really means and what's really the point of this book. And I think that is the point of the book.
Like, it talks about friendships, heartache, life in general. We all go through this type of stuff. And you can't just censor or take away the student's mind from reading something like this book. A labyrinth, by definition, is a maze that is hard to escape. It's a place where you don't know what way to turn. On your path, you're taking right and left. You don't know if you're hitting a dead end or not. You're going to need to be able to pick yourself back up when you do and go around. So he says, I was born into Balthazar's labyrinth, and so I must believe in the hope of Rabial's great perhaps. And it's just talking about the cause for hope. Religion teacher in this book speaks about hope every lesson, I notice. He talks about hope, and that's what Pudge's hope is the great perhaps. And I think that's one of the most important things, is learning what you're going to go search for in life.
The biggest challenge that Alaska says that she has to face is escaping her labyrinth, but the labyrinth is ever-changing, just like life. You can't control what is going to happen. Life always changes, and with every twist and turn of the labyrinth, there's another twist and turn in your life.
And when another door closes, another one opens. Very awkward, erotic.
Oh, dang it.
Dang. I can't talk. Let's not put that one in.
Without these scenes, it wouldn't... I don't know what I'm trying to say.
It would have made it none. It would have made it unrealistic.
What am I say?
You're literally trying to figure out what your teacher wants you to say in a vlog.
Stooks.
What was that then?
Maybe we should start over.
I remember what I wanted to say. Because we're all getting to the age where we know, I'm hoping, we all know right to wrong. Some of us probably don't, and that's scary. But in reality, we know right from wrong. We know what to do and what not to do. And we're not going to take a book like Looking for Alaska and be like, oh, I like that scene. I'm going to go do that. No. If you really think a teenager's going to go do that, or anyone at all, really? You're so stupid. Just plain stupid.